time and time and time and time again, after I survey my students, I learned that none of them know how to talk about sex. They didn't even know that it's important to talk about sex because they think, oh, sex is instinctual, animalistic, like it's just what
Mm.
you do, like it happens. That's why we have these parts. It's natural and instinctual. They didn't even know it's like extremely important to talk about sex in your relationship. Like literally, it predicts the quality of your relationship and the longevity of your relationship.
Why is it so hard to talk about sex, even with the person you're having it with? This is such a powerful and relatable conversation with Dr. Tara Suwinyatichaiporn. We get into why so many people fake orgasms instead of asking for what they really want, how shame and relationship dynamics shape our ability to communicate, and why fine sex is often a sign that something deeper is missing. Dr. Tara is a sex and relationship expert, professor, and author of How Do You Like It? Known for helping people build confidence, improve communication, and create more fulfilling intimate lives. Her work focuses on giving people practical tools about sex in a way that strengthens connection and satisfaction. If you're ready to stop avoiding the conversation and start creating a sex life that actually works for you, you're going to want to hear this one. Welcome to Sexology Lab. Each week, we speak with the most compelling minds in modern sexology to ask the questions shaping the future of desire, connection, and human wellness. Let's dive in.
Hi, thanks for having me. Are you having an orgasmic day?
Yes, I'm always having an orgasmic day at Sexual Health Alliance.
I know, right?
Yes. Oh, I love it. So today we're going to be talking about your book. So it's all about sexual communication. It's How Do You Like It? A guide for getting what you want in bed. So
Mhm.
I want to start out with an uncomfortable question. Why is it easier for people to fake orgasms than ask for what they actually want?
That's a question with $1 million answer, right? Because we can talk about it from so many aspects. In research, we found that there are various contributing factors to why people feel so apprehensive bringing up conversations about sex with their partners. The very first factor that we found in research to be very prominent is actually people's cultural and religious background. We found that people who come from cultures where sex is taboo, it's never to be talked about, and it's restrictive attitude towards sex, that's when people find the most discomfort or shame or embarrassment bringing up the topic of sex with their partner. So cultural, religious backgrounds a huge factor contributing to why you're so uncomfortable bringing it up.
Mm.
The second one is societal factor. I mean, we do live in a society where talking about sex is generally frowned upon unless
Mhm.
it's in comedy or like a medical setting. And
Right.
even in medical setting, did you know that doctors are not trained to talk about sex and sexual wellness?
Mm.
Oh, if you go see your general family doctor, right? Not a gynecologist, like a family doctor, like they're not trained to talk to you about your sexual health. That goes to show that we don't have societal structures or systems that support sexual wellness and conversations around sex. So,
Yeah.
secondly, is society. Third is relational. Some people are in a relationship where the relationship runs in its own different schemas,
Mm.
meaning there are like things that you talk about that's in your repertoire. And
Yeah.
if you did not start the relationship talking about your sex life and preferences, it's really hard to then bring it up after you've been together, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, because it's
Right.
like, what changed? Why do you want to talk about this now? And then lastly, people find the most difficult thing in bringing up conversations about sex is they don't want their partners to feel deficient. That's the hardest part. You love your partner, you're in a relationship, sex isn't amazing. You want to bring it up, you don't know how because you don't want them to feel attacked or deficient in any
Yeah.
way. Because ultimately, I believe people are good. We're good people, we're in good relationships. sex could be better. But that part of like, oh, I don't want them to be offended for things that I want to bring up or giving them feedback or whatnot. So these are various factors. Like it's just so many things running against us to have a conversation about sex. It's so hard.
Yeah, for sure. And it does feel a little suspicious. If you've been with somebody for 10 years and then all of a sudden you want to talk about all these things, it's like, well, why? Like, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with our relationship? And it can be scary to people, I think.
Oh my gosh. So I recently had a client whose husband came out to her out of the blue. They've been together 15 years. Came out to her out of the blue that he's into female domination and he's been going
Yeah.
to dominatrix. She was heartbroken because it's for her, it's like a betrayal, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's not even about sex, to be honest. When you hear something like this, it's not even about sex,
Yeah.
right? It's about dynamics and power and exploring like their internal desires. And it's not about penetration or the act
Mm-hmm.
itself, right? It's about like what his preferences are and what he's been repressing for so long in himself
Yeah.
and too afraid to bring it up and now finally brought it up because he's been away a lot. It's crazy how it can change everything and she feels so deeply betrayed by everything, right?
Yeah.
And also she's like, well, then I don't even know if I know him.
You start to question everything. It's like you
15
think you have
years.
this open communication with somebody, and then you find out there's things you didn't know. And it's not even necessarily about the thing, it's about the fact that you didn't know about it.
Yeah, yeah. She's like, oh my God, Tara, like 15 years, two kids. I'm just, okay, what are we doing now? Are we gonna get a divorce? What are we gonna do? So it's tough bringing stuff up. It doesn't even have to be that intense. Even if you just want more foreplay, it could be tough bringing it up because you might bring up something and it might signal to your partner that the things they've been doing are not good enough. So sexual communication is tricky and it's a big skill. And that's why I wrote a book about it. And before this book, How Do You Like It? I actually wrote a textbook called Sexual Communication Research in Action many years ago with two of my coworkers, other professors. I wrote the textbook first, so I have all like the research foundation and all the theories. Then now this 2025, I then decided it's time for my fun book to come out. So How Do You Like It is about learning what you like, learning the language of what to say, and then how to say them. I give so many examples, exact phrases for you to say. And
Yeah.
also activities for you to do with your partner that does not include penetration. So the book
Mm.
has just a lot of value in terms of learning, like a personal development skill.
Yeah. Oh, I am so excited to like learn more about this and to hear your talk at our upcoming event. And I want to know what made you want to write this book? When did it click for you that people really do lack communication, especially sexual communication?
My background is as a professor. I'm a tenured professor of sexual communication at Cal State Fullerton. And I've been a professor in general, like for almost 15 years. So
Yeah.
time and time and time and time again, after I survey my students, I learned that none of them know how to talk about sex. They didn't even know that it's important to talk about sex because they think, oh, sex is instinctual, animalistic, like it's just
Mm.
what like it happens. That's why we have these parts. It's natural and instinctual. They didn't even know it's like extremely important to talk about sex in your relationship.
Yeah.
Like literally, it predicts the quality of your relationship and the longevity of your relationship. They didn't know that. And then about 5 years ago, I started my private practice. I also learned that none of these people know how to talk about it.
Yeah.
So it was just like a light bulb moment of, okay, I have now been exposed to so many people that do not know how to talk about sex. And
Yeah.
for me to think back to when I was with my first husband, my first marriage, and I didn't know how to
Yeah.
bring it up either. I was already teaching it. I mean, think about it. I was supposed to be quote unquote expert back at that time when I was with my first husband, and I wasn't happy. And I teach about these concepts in class. I didn't have the courage to bring it up in my
Hmm.
relationship. So I know for a fact how hard it is. That's why I wrote this book. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, we need very specific instructions, the language of exactly like what we want. And then we need specific examples of how to say them correctly in various examples, like various ways. Yeah, that's why I wrote this book. I just see that nobody knew how to talk about
Yeah.
sex. Even back in the day, I also did not know. So
Yeah.
this. good guide for everybody.
Oh, absolutely. And like you were talking about at the beginning, if it was never modeled for you in your own family, in society, in your culture, if you never saw examples of good sexual communication, we don't see it in media. It's like, where are you supposed to learn this from?
Exactly. And being an older millennial, when
Yeah.
I was younger, people never have conversations about sex. Even like in the media, when you watch TV or movies, sex scenes were so horrendously wrong because it's you meet in the bar, you talk, sparks fly, you kiss, push each other on the wall, lift her skirt, enter. There's no foreplay. I'm sure
Yeah.
she's dry.
Right. Oh, and then they both have incredible orgasms.
Exactly at the same time.
Exact same time.
In like less than 5 minutes. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, we were not taught anything,
No.
like nothing. And so I don't want that for the next generation. And also for my generation and for older generations, like you can change. Anyone can change and learn and
Yeah.
grow. And that's why I think even if you're 60-year-old and you're listening and watching to this video, I hope that you get the book and start like developing this skill.
Right. Oh, 100%. All right. Now I want to hear your reaction to this statement. So if somebody comes to you and they're like, my sex life is fine, I guess. What do you think they need to do next?
Fine, I guess, is not very promising, is it?
No.
And I actually get that quite often. It's fine. It's okay. Like people say it's fine. It's okay. Rarely do I get, it's great. Like, yeah, it's great.
Yeah.
Whenever I get that, I'm like, ooh, you're doing something right. Like, that's amazing because that's a low percentage. I would say out of 10 people I talk to, maybe one person will say that. But
Which
not
is
to
wild.
say it's fine, not to say that it's not okay. You could have an okay sex life for the rest of your life, and that's fine too. I'm not in a business of shaming people for what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm here to offer the menu. I'm
Yeah.
here to offer the other items on the menu. You can pick whatever you want. You can eat whatever you want. When people tell me that, what it signals to me is they are probably having what I call a mediocre sex life. So it maintains the relationship enough, but it's not bringing them more happiness, fulfillment, or satisfaction.
Yeah.
But it's just maintenance, which is fine. There's a difference between eating okay enough to just take care of your body versus being healthy. It's the
Right.
same thing. You could just have an okay sex life and just have it versus having a healthy and fulfilling sex life. But it is work. You got to put in the work. It's not all, rainbows and butterflies.
Right. Absolutely. With anything in life, if you want the benefit, you do have to put in a little extra effort.
Absolutely. And that's what I see in absence of it is when the relationship suffers because ultimately sex is never just about sex. Sex is about effort. Sex is about your relational dynamics and the condition of your relationship. Sex is about emotional safety. Sex is about respect. Sex is about communication. Sex is about your family dynamics and your kids. And a lot of things contribute to how well you can have your sex life, the capacity for it. Whenever, people want to say that, oh, like, I want a better sex life, like, tell me one thing to do. Like, it's kind of tough because sex isn't just about the act of penetration. Everything in your life has to be going well as well. If you are in a disrespectful relationship where your partner rarely asks about how you feel emotionally, when they listen to you, they often cut you off and say something else, you're not going to want to have sex with them, right? So there's many things in the relationship has to go right to have sex. So when people don't have sex for a long time, it typically means something. In research, we call this symbolic interactionism. Because the theory of symbolic interactionism tells us that every interaction symbolizes something. And so the lack of sex also symbolizes other things, not just about sex.
Yeah. Ooh, that is so interesting. I love that. All right. Now I want to know, is there a moment in your book that tends to be like the biggest moment for readers?
Oh, it's actually the very first chapter.
Oh, yeah. Love it. Dive right in.
Oh, yeah. And I get you with with the first chapter because I want you to immediately like switch into this mindset. The first chapter is called What is Your Sexual Profile? And just like when you go see your doctor at the hospital for an annual checkup, they need to know how you're doing. Are there any conditions like
Yeah.
you're sleeping well? They need to measure your weight, your height, your eyeballs, they shine the light your eyeballs, they look into your mouth, your tongue, they check your ears. They need to assess how you're doing. So the first chapter of the book is assessing who you are in bed. Because like I said earlier, one of the biggest problems is people don't even know what they truly want and have the language. Like they don't know what to say. The first chapter, you take the sex personality test called Dr. Tara's sexual profile.
Ooh.
Then you'll learn the 4 dimensions of sexuality and who you are. So you have the words for it. Are you dynamic or consistent? Are you traditional or kinky? Are you monogamous or flexible? Are you animalistic or gentle? So after taking this test and have the language, you then now can talk about it with your partner. The moment comes in when couples take this quiz together and then they realize they don't have a lot in common.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh shit moment.
That is. They're complete opposites, maybe.
Yeah, sometimes they are. Like actually one of my best friends, she and her husband took the quiz and she's like, "Oh, Tara, out of 4 things, we only have 1 thing in common." I'm like, "Yep, that's fine. That's normal." It's never about being exactly the same.
Yeah, I would assume that creates a lot of like interest, in the relationship and some very interesting dynamics when you're very different in bed.
Totally. I love that perspective, Michelle. That's so positive.
Thank you. I try to be
It's
positive.
true. It's true because
Yeah.
that means the other person can bring something to bed that you're not usually used to. And maybe it's not your preference, but maybe if you keep an open mind and you try it, that can be a good additional thing in your sex life and your sexual repertoire. In the book, I talk about it's not a doomed if you and your partner are not exactly the same in compatibility of these dimensions. It's a point of conversation.
Yeah.
And then you can find erotic solutions together because there are solutions to everything. And the book offers so many erotic solutions. A lot of them include non-penetrative sex. I'm a big fan of expanding our definitions of what sex means because people think sex that counts is penetrative sex.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm a big fan of expanding the definition of what sex means because sex can be like 100 different activities.
Yeah.
And all of these activities can bring you closer together and help you feel sexually connected. And that's why you want to do them. We want to have sex to, of course, have sexual gratification, but also we want to feel sexually connected. So I'm offering all these activities as erotic solutions for people to try.
Are you curious about sexology? Do you want to further integrate sexology into your work or your life? Well, friends, then we've got something just for you. It's called the Sexology Practice Guide, and it walks you through the ways this shows up in your work, in your life, and guides you through working within your scope, incorporating intimacy and sexual health into your work without starting over. Download this short, practical guide at sexologylab.com/guide. That's sexologylab.com/guide. And while you're here, make sure to subscribe and share. And now, back to the show. Now, I want to give the audience some instant gratification right now. So, if someone wanted to improve their sexual communication this week, what's the first thing you'd have them try?
I would say the easiest way to have this conversation is to use what I call the media mention method. Basically say, "Hey, I watched this podcast and they were talking about monthly sexual check-ins. Like, have you ever heard about it?" And
I
then
love that.
what do you think about it? Open up the conversation with a topic mentioning that you heard it from somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is not your idea. So you don't
Yeah.
have to be the person confronting the other person of what you exactly want, right? Because that can be really scary. This is the easiest way. It's like, "I heard about this from a podcast. What do you think? Have you heard of it?" Then it opens up a dialogue. Then they say something, you say something, they say something, reciprocity. So then now you're talking about sexual check-ins. Maybe you'll do them. And when the relationship is in a position that you can have sexual check-ins, what they are is, I call them sexy check-ins, and it's a monthly check-in. And actually last night I had my book signing event where I did the sexy check-in live with my husband at the event.
Oh, you did. Oh, I love that.
So, like how exactly we do it. And it wasn't planned at all because I was just talking about sexy check-ins and I realized it's very theoretical,
Mhm.
unless your partner's doing it with you to show people. I was just asking him, like, are you okay? Like literally in the middle of the stage. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So then we show the sexual check-ins. And basically you ask your partner, how would you rate our sex life this last month from 1 to 10 and why?
Mm.
And then after that conversation, you also want to ask a follow-up. How can we improve that score by 1 point next month?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And I emphasize the 1 point because in positive psychology research, as well as in neuroscience, we know that people are more likely to stick to new habits or new activities or improving things when the goal isn't too out of reach. My husband shared, oh, well, this last month, we did have an amazing sex life this last month. So he's like, well, this last month was 10. And
It was 10.
yeah, but then he said, but I'll be honest, the month before was 6. And it was so real. And we talked about both of those times and we talked about what the differences were and what we did to improve that. And I mean,
Yeah.
it improved by 4 points, which is like insane. But we also put in a lot of work because we knew it was in a challenging time when it was 6. That's a conversation that you need to have. It's hard. It's not pleasant in that moment, but it's an investment. You put in an
Yeah.
investment to improve your relationship and get a return later.
Yeah. And it's not super complex. I think that's something most people can do with their partner. It doesn't take very long. I think it is that instant gratification strategy that I was looking for.
Yeah, exactly. You can immediately do that tonight. You can say,
Yeah.
I listened to this podcast with Michelle and Dr. Tara. They talked about sexual check-ins. So interesting. What do you think?
What a great way to start that conversation. I love having real language examples that people can use.
Yeah, and to be honest, I've heard so many people that said, when it comes to sex, can you just give me exactly what to say? Because
Hmm.
I don't want to construct my own sentence and say the wrong things. So that's why I'm like, just ask this question. And
Yeah.
also, sometimes it's easier for people to give it a rating. I know a lot of
Hmm.
people are not a fan because it just feels a bit formulaic and how can I quantify my sex life? But
Yeah.
actually, for the majority of the people, it's easier to come up
Yeah.
with a number than a bunch of words
Yeah.
because they don't know how to talk about it. But if they had to kind of take note of, okay, this last month, how am I feeling? Well, I think we're at about 7. It's easier for some people to do that. That's why I'm offering this method.
Yeah, love it. It starts the conversation. It's an easy way to get started. All right. Now, I want to know about sexual confidence. All right. So, sexual self esteem is foundational. And how is sexual self esteem different from just your regular everyday confidence or even desire or libido?
Your sexual self-esteem is internal. Your sexual confidence is external. When you like walk around, you meet people, and when people say, like, oh my God, you're so confident, that's usually, not all the time, but usually a product of working on your self-esteem. You have a high self-esteem, right? You have a positive view of yourself. You know you are capable. You know your worth. You love yourself. And then you exude confidence. People usually see a confident person. They don't usually approach you and say, like, wow, you must have a high self-esteem.
Right.
Just saying, like, wow, you seem so confident because that's what you see. What people see is your confidence. So confidence is external. Self-esteem is internal. Can you fake confidence? Yes, you can. People that are seemingly confident on the outside, right? But then on the inside, it's just a wreck,
Mm,
shambles.
yeah.
Yes, you can fake confidence, but you can't fake too long because it's hard.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
like you're wearing this mask of a fake person this whole time. It's very difficult. It's challenging to be a faked confident person. But when you truly work internally on your self-esteem, you can show up confidently because it's just who you are. You
Yeah.
believe in yourself. You know your capabilities, you love yourself, you know your worth. So sexual self-esteem is similar to like your general self-esteem, right? Like you're capable, you feel good about yourself, but it's particularly within the context of your own sexuality. Researchers actually separated them because they realized that there are people that have high self-esteem, but not high sexual self-esteem, which is so interesting, right? Like you wouldn't think that. If I had to guess, I wouldn't think that. I would think if you have a high self-esteem, you know your worth, you love yourself, you're good. You should be good with your sexuality. You could be sexually confident, get what you want, come all the time.
Come all the time.
Yeah, all the time. But that's not true. It's separated. So that's why I wrote a whole chapter in
Yeah.
my book about sexual self-esteem. Really deeply explore the concept, how you can improve that, and how you can work internally so that you don't have to fake it externally.
I think that is so important because somebody could really like kick ass at their job and feel like they are a super confident person all the time. But then they get into the bedroom and they do not feel the same way there. And they might be like, oh, what's wrong with me? Like, I'm usually so confident. So I think that's really important to make that difference and, help people understand that a little bit better.
Totally. And so many people, particularly my students, after the lecture about sexual self-esteem, they're always like, "Oh my God, that's crazy. I never thought about that being a separate thing." You just think a confident person probably have a great sex life. Not true. Separate things, two separate domains. And actually, if I think about my private practice and all the people I've met throughout the last 5.5 years, there have been so many successful, confident people, men and women in my practice that are not doing well sexually. That's a telltale sign.
Yeah.
Just because they're confident and successful in what they do doesn't mean they have a good sex life. It's a whole different thing. You have to work on it.
Right. So, what's one tip somebody listening could use to build their sexual confidence?
Consistently do sexual affirmations. A big fan of reading and listening to podcasts about positive psychology because I'm trying to always improve myself. What are some small things that I can do to basically have the best life possible?
Yeah.
The most fulfilling life, the most fun, engaging life. What I found through reading and doing research is that when you engage in positive sexual affirmations, it's basically a part of positive self-talk. There's a lot of
Yeah.
research that shows when you tell yourself enough about something, your brain starts to believe it, and
Yeah.
then it becomes a part of your identity and who you are. So you have to think about it as an investment. Like you start doing it today, it's not immediately tonight gonna make you
Yeah.
feel hot and sexy.
Yeah.
But after you do it for like 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and like me, I've done it for years. Every single day, I write a sentence in my journal. I write a long journal, but only one sentence is about my sex life or my sexuality. I can write, I am a sex goddess, or I value my sexuality, or I exude sexual charisma, or I can enjoy my orgasm fully. Whatever positive affirmations, there are a lot in the book. Whatever you relate to, use that. Say that to yourself every day in the mirror, or just say it in the car, or write it down in your journal. Doing that every day will improve your sexual self-esteem for sure.
Oh, I love that you give examples in the book because I would have never thought about this. Like, I've used positive affirmations in my own life, I've used them through therapy for all different things, but never would I have thought to use them for sexuality or sexual confidence. So, what a
I
cool
know.
philosophy. I love it.
Thank you so much. I mean, in my journal, I'll write stuff about work. I manifest making 1 million this year. I
Yeah.
manifest living by the beach. I live by the beach now. Earlier last year, I manifested 3 TV shows and have 3 TV shows. And then I always do one sentence about my sexuality because it's such a core identity of every human being, right? It's like
Yeah.
just write one thing, anything. Sometimes I write like, I love my breasts, like
Yes.
anything about your sexuality or your body or your identity.
All right. Well, now you've inspired me. I'm going to start keeping a journal and doing this. I love the idea.
Great. Yeah, I'm going to show it to you. Actually, it's right here.
Yeah.
This is my journal. It's actually my personal journal. It says, I don't know if you can see it. It says, have an
Oh my
organic.
gosh. I love that. Did you have that
Yeah.
made just for you or do you have those in stock for other people to get?
I had it made for me
It's,
and for gifts from my close friends.
I love it.
It says, have an orgasmic day. I write like, the universe supports me. I have an amazing sexuality. I'm thankful for my life and all the opportunities. I'm a lucky girl. It reinforces all the good things in my life, I think. Like it
Yeah.
reinforces my good energy and high frequency. So I can show up always in high vibrations, meet people, exude the positive energy. And it doesn't mean I don't go through hard times. Like I said, a couple months ago, we were rating our sex lives at 6. There were hard times. We work on them.
Right. Which that's the natural ebb and flow of relationships. I think it would be a little bit weird if everybody was a 10 all the time and never had anything lower than a 10.
I feel like that would be you have no job and like you have no
That's your
bills,
whole
no
life.
taxes. All day I'm just in lingerie having caviar at the beach. Then maybe.
Maybe, right? So maybe there's like one person out there who's like,
You
that's
know,
their life.
but even that, I know a lot of housewives of very successful, wealthy husbands that are in my practice saying, I'm not happy. Even that caviar by the beach life isn't giving you the best, most fulfilling sex life.
Right, exactly. So without the tools, without needing to know what there is to know about sexual communication, you can have all the money in the world. You can be laying at the beach, but still not be totally satisfied because you need these skills.
You know, sometimes I like look at Forbes magazine or whatever, and I'll like see pictures of these people, and I always wonder if they have a good sex life. Elon Musk, he does not look like he has a good sex life.
I think there would be a lot more positive, good energy if he did.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know, just yeah, people equate money and career, a successful life. I think a successful life has many more facets than that.
Totally agree. I know we've been really positive throughout the podcast, but I do want to talk about a mistake. Like, what is the most common mistake people make when they finally try to talk about sex with their partner?
Approaching the conversation as a criticism. Even
Mm,
though they're like, I'm doing this because I want us to improve and grow together. It doesn't matter. You can't approach it as a criticism. You can't approach it as, you don't really do this. You don't ever want to approach sexual communication pointing out what they don't do. You don't ever want to do that because then people immediately get defensive and then they go into attack mode. Then they think about what you don't do and what they're not happy with
yeah.
about you. And then come back and it just becomes an unproductive conversation. I've seen this, witnessed this firsthand a lot with couples that come to my practice. Like when I want them to start talking, this is how they talk. For example, the husband goes like, yeah, you don't ever initiate. I initiate all the time. You don't ever initiate. That's a terrible way to start this conversation about sexual initiation. Because then she goes like, well, then I do everything around the house. If you do, then maybe I'll initiate. That's a big mistake.
I see this a lot too with just general communication. If you come at somebody with negatives and a bad attitude, that just starts everything off with a really bad vibe. And it's not going to be a very productive conversation.
No, I see that a lot in work too.
Yeah, you got to bring a good vibe and good intentions to the conversation and just start it out with healthy communication.
Exactly. A lot of my students will say, well, but then what if I'm upset? I can't bring good
Mhm.
vibes. Like if
Yeah.
I'm upset about something, I said, well, then take a moment to yourself. Maybe you even write it down. My
Yeah.
husband is really good at writing things down when he's upset and then have a conversation about it later, like
Yeah.
full.
I love that.
I remember the last time we had an argument, and yes, arguments are healthy. Like
Yeah.
I love that when we have an argument, we can get through and find a way to resolve with solutions. So last time we had an argument, he actually said like, "Ah, okay, I actually need some time. Can we talk about this tomorrow, please? I'll come
Yeah.
back with thoughts on this." And you know, the egotistical me would be like, no, 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 we need to like sit here and work it through right now, right? Because that's how
Yeah.
I, but then the more empathetic side of me is, oh, he processes everything so much slower and
Yeah.
he wants to write things down.
Hmm.
So, okay, I'm like, all right, tomorrow, but no later than tomorrow. It's like, yes, okay. So then we have a conversation. He brought like a whole page of paper that he typed out his thoughts,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it was a much more productive conversation then. I just take a step back and think about it and then have a conversation.
Yeah, I love that advice. You have to be emotionally regulated. You have to understand your partner's communication style because my husband and I are the same way. He likes to resolve things right now in the moment. I'm more of the thinker. We're totally different, And so over time, we've had to adapt and learn each other's communication styles.
I would love to know what your guys' sexual profiles are. So
I
you
would too.
take the test and then let me
Yes.
know.
Yes, I will. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that sounds like so much fun. That's going to be our Valentine's activity.
There you go. And then do one of the erotic solutions.
Yes. Oh, I love it. I will be in touch with the results.
Yes, please let me know. It's always fun to hear from people because love using it as examples. I never use names, just
Yeah.
love telling people examples of how people can be similar or different.
Definitely. Well, before we go, I want to do a quick lightning round. So you could answer these in just a couple words or a sentence, but I've got four. Okay. One sexual communication myth that you want gone forever.
That talking about sex is not sexy. Thing
So
about
right.
sex might not be sexy in that moment, but it's an investment for a much sexier life.
Absolutely. All right. The most underrated turn on.
Foot massages.
Ooh,
Yeah,
yeah.
I don't think people do it enough.
Yeah. Oh, totally agree. All right. A question everyone should ask a partner, but rarely does.
What else can I do for you?
Love that. All right. Last one. A phrase that instantly improves sexual communication.
I adore you and I desire you.
Oh, so good. One more thing before we go. You presented with Sexual Health Alliance a few times already. Do you have a favorite thing about presenting with Sexual Health Alliance? What's your experience been like with us?
Oh my God, I would say my favorite thing has to be the Q&A. We have such lively Q&A. People that come to Sexual Health Alliance are really people that are just hungry for knowledge, but they themselves know a lot too. So it's always a great, vibrant Q&A section. I love it. I love that moment. And I'm always so honored to be surrounded by such wonderful, educated people with a growth mindset. So it's an honor to be presenting at SHA again this upcoming meeting.
Yes. Oh, thank you so much. I totally agree. Our community is so lively and engaged and really is the best. All right. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Tara. We are looking forward to seeing you at our upcoming event.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen. Links are in the description below.